Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new hard rock documentary, Long Live Rock, Celebrate the Chaos. And this is from director Jonathan McHugh, who previously had been in the music department on a lot of films like Blind Spotting and Mortal Kombat, and now is creating this story and putting a spotlight on hard rock heavy metal music, which, I guess to give a little background, I'm a huge fan of hard rock music and metal music. I love AC/DC, I love Deep Purple and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and I love Hailstorm and Black Label Society in this moment. This is music that really does speak to me. So this was an interesting journey watching this documentary, which I got the pleasure of having an early screener for to be able to check this film out. And, starts off with who? Metallica, of course. The most popular and most successful hard rock heavy metal band probably ever. And it sets the tone. You see people in the mosh pit, people jumping up and down, banging their heads, throwing up the devil horns, and all of that. It captures that spirit of metal music, hard rock music. And this documentary gives a bunch of different interesting perspectives from fans. You have different peoples from all walks of life, ex-inmates to doctors to moms, all in between, woman who's in a wheelchair, and you get to see an interesting look at her life and her experiences, looking at, especially in terms of like crowd surfing in her wheelchair, which is really interesting. You have those perspectives. Then you have artists. You have like a Tom Morello. You have a Lizzie Hale, Maria Blank, and all these other metal artists here getting to talk about their craft and why this music means so much to them. For me personally, listening to Lizzie Hale talk about her music was so awesome because I'm such a huge Hailstorm fan. They're one of my favorite bands. And you have perspectives of people like Eddie Trunk, who, with that metal show that I used to watch on VH1 Classic all the time, and he's on Sirius XM talking about metal all the time. You get those different perspectives. You get industry insiders. You get a bit of a history lesson. You get a lot of different things in this documentary. A lot of it doesn't go too deep, and that's where this documentary might fall a little short, is that it scrapes the surface with a lot of the things that it talks about. It talks about that concert experience, the surfing, the mosh pits, and you get an interesting look into what the security guards have in terms of like a bunch of like NFL and college football guys trying to help out with safely getting people crowd surfing down. You have all those different perspectives. You have the influences, where the music comes from. You hear from the artists, and you hear from so many people about what this music really means to them. Is this documentary something that's mind-blowing technically, or is this going to change how you perceive life and stuff like that? Probably not, but this is a really solid love letter to hard rock music. And you get to hear from so many different perspectives about this music, trying to take a different look at things. The documentary itself does weave in and out pretty recklessly, I guess, if that's the right word, between different topics. Like, it shoots out of nowhere into talking about like heavy issues with drug use and the death of Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington. It's just like, where'd this come from? And it comes a little out of nowhere because the documentary's kind of swinging wild in between these different topics. So there's not a whole lot of finesse in how it's put together, but there's a heart and there's a soul to this documentary and a love for metal music. So if you love that music, this is something that I think will be really appreciated. And I know I really connected with it. Even if it's not the best documentary I've seen, I still loved it. And if you're not a huge metal fan, this might not speak to you in the same kind of way. But if you still love music, it's an interesting perspective on different kinds of music. And there's a little treat if you stick around for the credits, listening to all the artists telling them, you have my permission to use my interviews. And a lot of them having fun with that. But you have all of this thrown into like an hour and 19 minutes. It does feel a little long at times. It feels longer than an hour and hour and 19 minutes. But I still really enjoyed it. But those are my thoughts on Long Live Rock. Celebrate the chaos. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.